الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده أما بعد فقد قال الله عز وجل في القرآن المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب قد آتيتني من الملك وعلمتني من تأويل الأحاديث فاطر السماوات والأرض أنت وليي في الدنيا والآخرة توفني مسلما وألحقني بالصالحين ذلك من أنباء الغيب نوحيه إليك وما كنت لديهم إذ أجمعوا أمرهم وهم يمكرون صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الأمي الكريم ونحن على ذلك لمن الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Yusuf alayhis salam said, O my Rabb, indeed you have granted me kingdomship and you have taught me the interpretation of dreams. The creator of the heavens and the earth, you are my true friend in this world and the hereafter. Grant me death in a state that I am Muslim, and unite me and join me and group me with the pious. This is from the news of the unseen, that which we reveal to you, and you were not by them. You, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, were not by them, were not with them when they gathered upon their matter, upon their resolve to kill Yusuf alayhi salam, and whilst they were plotting on how they were going to do it. Dear respected brothers, elders, my friends, youth, my young ones, and my most honorable mothers and sisters listening, this, what I have recited before you, is verse 101 and 102 from Surah Yoosuf. A few things that I wanted to mention in 101, Ayah number 101, verse number 101, after going through the translation last week, is a few points in this ayah which are notable. The first of them is that Yusuf alayhi salam said, supplicating to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, tawaffani muslima, grant me death, take me from this world. Let my demise be at the time when I am a Muslim. At the time when I am a Muslim. We normally ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for death, for demise from this world, for our final moments in this world. When we are in the state of Iman. So I have Iman, I have the correct faith, this is the right time to go. I don't want to leave this world having had faith for my entire life, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes upset with me for a sin that I have done in my life and robs me of my faith, takes my faith away from me. So even though having lived as a Muslim, as a mu'min, I die without Iman. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that when we are in our final moments, He takes us with Iman. He takes us with Iman. But Iman is the lowest level that a believer can ask for, because Iman is the minimum level required to enter Jannah. Iman is the minimum level required to enter Jannah. If a person does all the good deeds in this world, everything, meaning he has Islam in his life. Actions of Islam. So what are the actions of Islam? So my brothers will say that the non-Muslims, how they deal with you, how they behave with you, how they transact with you, these are the qualities of Muslims. For example, you buy something online from them, a jacket. They give you free returns. So what does a true Muslim do? Rather than being truthful to his faith, what does he do? You know what? I'll order size 7, 8 and 9, and then I'll see which one fits me, and the one that doesn't fit me, I'll send it back. Or you know what? I don't know if I like this design or that design or that design. I'll order all three, but then I'll send it back. It's free returns. Or you know what? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us. You know what? It's a very nice top. I only need it for one day. Very nice watch. I only need it for one day. I'll take it, use it on the occasion, make sure it's untarnished, unblemished, pack it up, send it back. Full refund again. Free returns and full refund. What's there to lose? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us hidayah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala correct our affairs. So we as believers may think that, the non-believers, they've got so many qualities of Muslims, of what a Muslim is supposed to be. So many qualities. Like this, many other good qualities they have of Muslims. The well-wishing for humanity and going out the way for humanity. But if they don't have faith, then all this goodness lies under the minimum level of entry to Jannah. Someone goes to the theme park, takes the little child with them. So they look all stocky. So they look like they're possibly, 8 years old, but they're 6 years old. But what does the people at the rides do? No. We measure by height. We don't measure by width. So he may look like he's mashallah, or she's mashallah. We measure by height. If it's not this height, then that's it. They can't go on the ride. But look at him. He looks so mature. No, but the height isn't there. Or sometimes genuinely they are 9 years old. They are 8 years old, 7 years old. So at normal average height, they should get into this ride. So you go there, passport. So look, he is 9 years old. An average child gets to this height, you have to let him on this ride. They'll say, sorry, we have a rule. The minimum requirement for entry onto this ride is this much height. If you're not this much height, no matter how old you are, you can be 60 years old but a dwarf, but you cannot sit this ride. You cannot sit this ride. Minimum. Like this, my dear respected brothers and elders, it's a light-hearted example, but the true reality is that you can do all the good deeds you want in this world. Spend your entire wealth in the millions upon the poor, and be kind to your country, and be kind to your neighbors, and be very generous in your dealings. But if you do not have the minimum entry level requirement for Jannah, then you cannot enter Jannah. Rather, we have been forbidden to even do dua maghfirat for such a person who doesn't meet the minimum entry level requirement. So they have all the good deeds in their life and they pass away. We can't say to Allah, oh Allah, my next door neighbor John, he was such a pious person in his own right, and he did so much good, and whenever I needed him, he was always there. See, my daughter's picking up shopping, he'll come and take, no, give the shopping to me, I'll take your bags inside. He'll wash my driveway for me as well whilst he's washing his. He'll wash my car for me as well whilst he's washing his. Such a good, oh Allah, forgive his sins. Oh Allah, grant him entry into Jannah. You're making dua for someone who hasn't left this world with minimum level of entry requirement, then how can this dua be accepted? Rather, we have been forbidden to make dua for that which is for the people who pass the minimum level entry requirement. The gifts that Allah has in return, the abode of Jannah that Allah has in return, when they don't leave this world with the minimum level of entry requirement. Now, we will never know. If we're not there, we will never know what state a person left this world in. It's possible that John, the next door neighbor, he died in the state of Iman because he thought, I'm living next to Muhammad And I've seen him, and he's so kind as well. In Ramadan, he gives me lots of food and gives me Eid cards as well. And he always, he's very kind to me, smiling to me, and he helps me as well. So here I'm on my deathbed. I believe finally that his faith is true and I want to leave this world, and he dies. But all you heard was the ambulance coming, and then you're like, oh, John's gone, man. John was a good guy and he's gone, he's left this world, he's left without Iman. Oh no, we can only judge up to the point we know them. After that, which is Allah has made hidden from us in terms of knowledge, we can't judge a person beyond that point. We are only mukallaf and responsible for judging a person up to where our knowledge is. We can't judge them after that point. So if we knew John up to the point he was a disbeliever and then he passed away, then we can't turn around after his death and say, oh Allah, forgive John. Oh Allah, grant him Jannatul Firdaus. Oh Allah, make his qabr from his grave from the graves of paradise. We can't do that. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the correct understanding. Here, Yusuf alayhi salam is making this dua despite being a true person of faith and despite being a true Muslim. Muslim being subservient to Islam, subservient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Islam can come from taslim, which means to accept. So he's accepting everything from Allah and accordingly he's acting like that. Still, he's making dua, tawaffani muslima. The first lesson, my dear respected brothers, after the first one, the second one that we learn now is that never be overconfident upon your current state of Iman and Islam, no matter how good we are. No pious person in the books of history has been confident upon their level of Iman and Islam that they could say that I'm going to die upon faith. Nobody. Yes, there was someone by the name of, if I recall correctly, it is either Hazrat Shaykh Zakaria rahmatullahi or it's either Dr. Abdul Hayy al-Arifi rahmatullahi, one of the two great pious people of the past, that when they were asked that if you were to find out that death was to come to you and you got like 1 hour, 2 hours, or 1 day, 2 days, what would you change in your routine? What would you do more? So he said, I wouldn't change a single thing, because my entire life is based upon the Quran and Sunnah. Meaning every action of mine is according to the Sunnah. Everything I do is according to the Sunnah. And Dr. Abdul Hayy al-Arifi rahmatullahi alayhi would say that I thought so hard over every action and speech of my life. Thought so hard that what am I saying? What am I doing? You know, when you look at yourself from a third person point of view, you get a health coach and the health coach says, look, I want you to jot down your entire 2 weeks. What time you eat? What do you eat? What's the size of your meal? What time do you do this? Do you do physical activity? I want the full 2 weeks of your life, and then I will tell you what you need and what you don't need in your life. So a person sometimes takes a whole third person point of view of his life, and he says, what's wrong in my life? Or what's not according to the Sunnah? So he said that I looked very closely at my life, everything I say and everything I do. And anywhere I saw that this is not according to the Sunnah, I changed it to Sunnah. He goes, Alhamdulillah. Look, in his life he's making this statement. Alhamdulillah, I can confidently say now that there is no speech or action in my life that is contrary to the Sunnah. That is contrary to the Sunnah. Everything I do according to the method of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And this, my dear respected brothers, is the third lesson of today. What? That we should have the concern that what am I saying, what am I doing? So right now you're sitting and listening. Who's sitting on a chair? Who's sitting on the floor? Who's in need of sitting on the chair? Who's not in need of sitting on the chair? Who's sitting on the floor? How are they sitting? Who's sitting correctly? So if they're supposed to be on the chair, they're on the chair because they need to be on the chair. They have back problem, leg problem, arthritis. Allah knows best. Allah give everybody shifa. And those on the floor, they're on the floor. Everybody's in the correct position. And everybody's sitting correctly as well. Let's accept that. But after that, Whom is behaving according to the sunnah in terms of how you're supposed to be listening when you're learning knowledge, according to the direction of the sunnah, direction of the hadith. Who's behaving like that? Who's thinking like that? Who's made the right intentions according to how they should have according to the hadith? Who came with the right intentions? Who is sitting with the right intentions? So much. So we think that if I've ended up in the Dars Quran by chance today, because the wife said you can go for Isha Salah, so I went for Isha Salah, and then there was no further duties at home, so she left me over here, so here I am over here. Alhamdulillah, by chance I've ended up here. Now I'm here and there's Dars Quran, Imam spoke, I heard it, mashallah, benefited a lot, go home. In between there's a dozen of intentions. In between there's dozens of positions, actions and speech. So for example, whenever I conclude, I say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So some of you may take that casually and say, oh, Imam just says Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi every time. So you don't reply to the salam, you get up and you go. So everything, let's say everything you did right, all the intentions, but this action of yours was not according to the sunnah. You should reply to the salam. So those listening live, so when I'm making salam at the end, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, if they just like at that point just switch it off, oh, it's finished now, and halfway through the salam, or after listening to salam, they switch it off, but they don't reply to the salam, then this is against the sunnah. So one action, it seems so little, but that means there's a moment in our life on a weekly basis that is against the sunnah. And we may think, I'm wearing the thobe, I've got the topi on my head, and I enter the masjid with the right foot, I leave the masjid with the left foot, I enter the toilet with the left foot, I come out with the right foot, I read my du'as, my whole life is on sunnah. But when you sit with the ulama and you learn the intricacies, then you realize how far we are away from the sunnah. How far we are away from the sunnah. So the third lesson is that we must bring the sunnah in our lives. The fourth lesson is the difference between Iman and Islam. So just briefly, in the hadith of Jibreel alayhi salam, famous hadith, he asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what is Iman? And then he asked him in a separate question, what is Islam? And there's many places in the Quran as well where Iman and Islam have been shown as two. So just simply, because there's not much time, simply, Iman is to do with a set of beliefs, and Islam is to do with a set of practices that go in accordance to the beliefs. So if your beliefs are correct, your aqaid are correct, but your life is bereft and empty and void of what's supposed to come after you say, I believe in Allah. Meaning you listen to Him, and you listen to everything, you do everything He says, you stay away from everything He says you should stay away from. The sunnah, you follow it. So everything that follows after that, to the degree you are empty from the actions, that's how much to the degree you lack in Islam. So you may have the perfect aqaid, but you do not have the perfect Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressed the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum majma'een in the Quran, and indirectly addressing us as well. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O those of you who have iman, udkhulu fis silm. Silm is seen, lam and meen, from which comes Islam as well. Islam, silm, Islam. Oh, those of you who have brought iman, enter Islam kafa, completely. So your iman is perfect, but your Islam is yet not perfect. You need to enter into Islam completely, because Islam is the outer shield of your iman, which is internally. That diamond which you're protecting, it needs protection, and for that you need Islam. You need Islam on the outer side, the layers, the security, the cameras. You need this on the outside, so that shaitan is not able to snatch away your diamond, snatch away your iman. So enter into Islam completely. The weaker your Islam is, the weaker your security is. To protect yourself from shaitan taking iman. The weaker your fortress is, your enemies can easily break in. Shaitan and his group and his jama'ah can easily break in and take away your iman. And you may be confident right now, but his attack may be planned for your final hours of your life. That's when I'm going to attack him. He thinks he's very confident, I'll attack him then. And I know I've got the army. And I know his fortress is weak. I know his practices within this religion are weak. And he's just biding his time by his faith, saying that, look, I believe in Allah, and this is what I believe in him. I believe in all his sifat. I believe in his dhat. And I believe in his names. And I believe in them as he wants me to believe in them. I believe in the prophets. I believe in the books. My faith is strong. But his life is bereft of the practices of the religion. Fasting, praying, zakah, hajj, the do's and the don'ts. Then this person's fortress is weak. He's in danger. That's the fourth lesson. And the fifth lesson is that even after having perfect faith in this world, knowing that he's destined for goodness, he still makes the dua, وَأَلْحِقْنِي بِالصَّالِحِينَ, that unite me with the pious. Oh Allah, in the hereafter when I pass on, unite me with the pious. Unite me with the pious. And he can say that. Why? Because in this world he's lived as a pious person. So then he can hope that, this is what I want, this is where I want to be. So someone who's very compliant with the Sharia, you put him in a disco, and he's in his thobe, and he's in his full, and you put him in a disco, he's like, I don't even feel comfortable. What am I doing here? So uncomfortable. So you put a pious person in the hereafter with non-pious people. You raise him on the day of Jannah, non-pious people. Is he going to feel comfortable? Is that where he wants to be? No. If I've lived to the best of my ability the life of piety, then in the hereafter when I'm raised, I want to be with my group. I want to be with the people who I've strived to be with in this world. So that's the fifth lesson of today. Inshallah, upon this fifth point, I will elaborate more next week, because company is a very key thing for the youth today. Not having the bad company and having the right company. And just a few things, inshallah, I'll be highlighting before we move on to the next ayah, which is 102. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first of all give me and the rest of you the ability to act upon what has been said. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us good company in this world, grant us good company in the hereafter. May Allah protect our iman with Islam in this world and give us death upon iman with Islam, which is the ultimate level of passing away in this world. Not only iman, but Islam with it as well. And may He raise us with the people of iman and Islam on the day of judgment. Finally, just conclude with one hadith. In one hadith, the Sahabi asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Mata as-sa'a?" When will the day of judgment be? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Madha a'datta laha?" What have you prepared for that day? Never mind when that day is going to come. Tell me what you've prepared for it. He goes, "La, I haven't prepared anything for it. Illa anni uhibbu Allah wa rasulahu sallallahu alaihi wasallam." Except for the fact that all I have on my account, on my name, is I love Allah and I love His Messenger. I love you, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's all I have. I don't have anything else. I don't have no good deeds. Of course, he's being humble as well. It must be there. But this is all I have. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that in the hereafter, al-mar'u ma'a man ahbabta. Man ahbabta. Al-mar'u ma'a man ahbabta. That a person on the day of judgment, in the hereafter, and then in Jannah, he will be with the person whom he loved in this world. Whom he loved. So when we stick with the right company, and if we can't do it, and I'm taking that one extra minute of your time, but it's such an important point. Look, you can't be a scholar. Okay, you can't be a scholar. Why? Because you're a doctor. Why? Because you're also a father. Why? Because you've got 5 children to look after. Why? Because you're very busy in your life. You've got too many occupations, so you can't be a scholar. You can't be a qari of the Quran. Why? Because I can learn tajweed, but I can't be a qari of the Quran, a big qari of the Quran. I can't be that. I can't be a mufti. But the minimum you can do is have true love in your heart for those whom are. Have true love in your heart for the students who are striving to become that. Have true love. You can't be that. But look, in this hadith we learn that as long as you have true love for the individuals, the pious people, and pious people don't have to be ulama. Pious people, generally pious people. And then the ulama on top of that. Then the muftis, then the qaris, and all the people who have dedicated their lives for deen. Have true love for them. So I can't do what you're doing, but I love you for what you're doing. then there is hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept this amal of ours. Look, this Sahabi, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ma a'datta laha," yani ma a'datta al-a'mal laha. What good deeds have you prepared for that day? So in response to the deeds, what did he say? Hub, al-hub lillah wa li rasulihi. What's the good deed? The good deed is love. Love for Allah and love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So love is a good deed as well. Having love for the right people is the good deed. So at least have true love and sincere love for the right people, for what they are doing. Respect them. Maybe we can't be as pious as them. We're trying. Allah knows our shortcomings. We can't be like them. You may think of me as a pious person. I think myself even worse than you. And I think when I think of my sheikh, I think of him as pious. I'm not even anywhere there. Everybody has someone they look up to. So maybe we can't become like that. But at least we have love for them. I love them for what they are. I love them for where they are in life. And I always will strive to become like them. Then inshallah, this amal of true, sincere love, Allah will value it and really treasure it. And inshallah, resurrect us with those people as well based on this hadith. May Allah make this true for ourselves. آمين يا رب العالمين. سبحان الله بحمده سبحان الله العظيم أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.